What's up, Ham Fam? Welcome back to another episode of Heart as a Mother. If you're new or just tuning in, I'm your lovely host, Jizzy, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Harleen.
Hello, everybody, and the famous
because Brian hasn't got us a button yet.
Yeah, we need to upgrade.
So if you're new here, we're just two moms on a mission to create a safe space for moms and dads to share the honesty and the realness that comes with parenthood, while also being able to laugh at yourself. Because, I mean, you have to be able to laugh at yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yes, so we're kicking another episode where we have dope guests from the realest moms to entrepreneurs. And of course, we can't forget about the dads. So this week we have a very special dad in the studio with us today. He is the real husband of Airdrie. Welcome, RJ.
That's your write-up?
Yeah, it's fucking cool. Come on.
Oh.
You know,
we had to shout out Airdrie dads.
Not affiliated.
Are you sure?
100%.
So you're not going to tell your Airdrie dad group about this?
I am not part of no Airdrie dad group. Yeah.
Are we allowed to come to your block party?
Please don't.
This is going to be another thing you can talk about at your block party.
You do know I'm part of like the Airdrie mom elites. This is going to go all over
I believe
the
I
page.
played a hand in you joining that group.
Woo woo. Yeah, they're super awesome.
Great.
Yeah, I love Airdrie. I mean, everyone's so nice there.
Don't come
I'm
here.
always greeted every time I get out of my car, no matter who it is.
What is it? Your neighbor's Kirsten? What's up, Kirsten?
No, she's across the street.
Oh, across the street.
Kristen, she throws the block parties that we're going to crash next
Well,
year.
the thing is, every time we come and visit RJ, he's always like, keep your fucking mouth shut, or you guys are so loud coming out. Like, come
You're
on,
a bunch
guys.
of hood rats that leave my house at like 11:45 at night on a Tuesday when everyone's sleeping.
Oh, you love it.
Airdrie.
So I guess we should tell everybody, RJ's our cousin, as embarrassing as that is.
For me.
No, for us.
I beg to differ. You know, RJ takes every opportunity to embarrass Giselle and I. Like, I kid you not. Does anybody have a family member who's fucking extremely outrageous? Because it's this guy.
No, guaranteed if you do, this guy tops it.
Sorry, this is why you guys brought me here?
Yes.
To attack me?
Yes. A
Yes.
little bit.
Well, I'm glad I made the drive down from Airdrie.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on down. But no, I'm serious. As much as you are an outrageous person, I do know that there's a side of you that is, okay, for real. I did tell you that if I died and BJ died, that you would take Jaden. Like, you are the primary. He's the one who's going to take care of Jaden.
I love
Ouch.
You know
I
that,
could
right?
take care of Jaden.
I got a short list of kids I'd take. I got a long list of kids I wouldn't take.
We won't do
We
that.
won't discuss that.
We won't do that list.
But also, we always talk about how we're so, like, we're believers in the fact that whoever you hang out with, like the top 5 people you hang out with are who you are, basically, right?
Absolutely.
And you have to surround yourself with people that like-minded people. And RJ is actually one of those top 5 for me and you.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
So that's why he's here.
we're always talking like every day chat or whatever.
We
always
talk every day.
talking every day, even before bed. It's crazy, but yeah, I mean, I navigate through my parenthood and just all the crap that happens in my life. It's like literally the core people that are in this room, because I always get real sound advice, even though I sometimes am crazy. Can I say that? Did you just laugh?
Yeah, no, I laughed at sometimes.
Okay, I'm
We must have
crazy
different
all the
definitions
time.
Of sometimes.
Brian can attest to that, right? Har's crazy all the time.
No, I'm not, Brian. Anyways, I won't attack Brian tonight, but
For a change.
For a change, I'll be nice to him today.
That's good. Okay, let's get down to it. So here today with RJ, he brought his high school sweetheart, Anne, who he married and had 2 beautiful children with. So you and Anne are high school sweethearts.
We are.
How long have you guys been together? Don't fail, because she's here
Hold
and
on.
she's going to watch this. Oh my God.
22 years.
Together, but what about married?
Oh, married. We were going into our 11th year.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've literally seen RJ and Anne like grow up from like when they were kids to parents, and they're always evolving, and it's crazy how much they've grown. Yeah, it's super crazy, and I have some crazy stories about that, but we won't talk about that today.
Or maybe we will. I don't know.
I know you made me sign a waiver, but maybe I should have made you guys sign a waiver.
That's your mistake. Okay, so your firstborn, Sophia.
Yes.
You had her. How old were you when you had her?
I hate math. I want to say 27. 27, yeah.
Do you think you were mentally prepared to be a father at 27?
My wife would differ, but I'd like to think that I've always wanted to be a dad. So even when she told me that she was pregnant, I was all in. So, yeah. I was, and I think it's the same way I act to this day. My kids are my best friends, as corny as it sounds, but like they're these little molds of clay that I get to mold into. Like all the things I like, they like, and then all the things they end up liking, I end up liking. Right. Yeah. So it's, I've always wanted built-in best friends, I guess.
So when did you discover that your kids were your best friends? Because I mean, I feel like we go through stages in our own lives. Like when were you like, fuck, my kids are like, I love them to my core being, and they just become your best friends?
So I have a reputation of partying, or used to, a lot, right?
Everybody did.
Yeah. But even when like Sophia was born, I found when Sophia was born, like shortly afterwards, I would just duck out early, right? And it's so much so that my friends would call it ninja tactics, or they started calling me 8 p.m. because I would bounce at 8 p.m., right?
Yeah.
Or fall asleep.
Well, no,
I've seen that.
That's now when I'm older. But,
that's true.
When I was like, still in my 20s and Sophia was like 1 or 2 years old, I would always want to come home. Right? I would always want to be the one that gives her a bath, puts her to bed, things of that nature, right? Like there wasn't a reason for me to, or I didn't need a reason to want to come home. I wanted to come home, right?
So you would say fatherhood has changed your lifestyle. Like how much of a drastic change did your lifestyle change?
They become your world. They become everything, right? Even the way me and Anne communicate, where like you've seen it, you said it, like you've seen us grow up. You've seen the eruptions. You've seen us not kill each other, but
just break a TV.
No, I did not break a TV.
That was Anne.
Okay, damn, man.
We didn't break it. So short story, we were having a fight. In the middle of the fight, she took the TV, flipped it over, and then we stopped because we just bought that TV.
And you're like, oh shit, what the fuck, man?
But basically, that's what's changed my entire life. Yeah. Everything from work life to my personal relationship with my wife, even how I treat other people. Right, it's just everything that has to do with my kids. I take those lessons and I apply them to every facet of my life.
Do you think? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I'm shy.
I'm shy. Do you think there was a difference between when you had one kid and 2 kids of how present you became?
100%.
So the first time with your firstborn PM, obviously that was huge change for everybody for their first kid. But when your second kid came, like what else? How much farther did your your growth go? Because you had 2 of them now.
Okay, so when we had Sophia, I thought it was cool to have a kid. Right? Oh, okay, now I have a wife, I have a kid, I have a house, I have it all. I'm a family, right? But also at the same time, I had just started my career. I thought I was going to be something else, and something else in this. Like, I mean, I'm still in the same career, but I had different visions, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought I was the guy that was gonna work till 8 o'clock at night and come home to a glass of scotch and go golfing on the weekends. And I tried to live that life, right? And my wife will attest. Like, she's told you numerous times, I didn't become a dad until Nico came around, right? Yeah. And that's because when you have one kid, it's super easy. There's 2 of you. I mean, I wasn't the most, I wasn't the most active dad in the sense that I was constantly changing diapers or waking up in the middle of the night or that other stuff. But it wasn't until Nico came where, my wife needed help. And honestly, if you ask my wife, it probably hasn't been till about 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, where I've actually been actively involved in everything that we do. Right?
Can I just say how proud I am of you? I know that we joke a lot. I mean, a lot. And we always bust your balls daily. But on the real, I have seen how present you are with your kids and how you are becoming the man that you want to be. And, I'm just so proud of you. Like super proud
And I think
you.
everybody can see that too. And this is why you're here. And there's a lot of times where I know Mark will go to you because he knows what's up. Like, I'm just like, if there's anybody you need to talk to, just go to RJ. Like he's there and you're always willing to help. And every time you had given us advice, it's like stuff we never really think about. So we're all proud.
Thanks, guys.
Do you think that the dynamics that you have with Anne at the time where you weren't present, did that strain the relationship between the two of you?
Oh, crazy. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Because she took so much on, right? I was at that phase in my life where I thought I had to work crazy amounts of hours. I had to make crazy amount bank. We had to go on 2 vacations a year. We had to have, new model of vehicles every 3 years and the latest phones and all this other stuff. And it was just keeping up with the Joneses, right? And, for her part, she did the best that she could, and she did a phenomenal job at holding down the home front. But at the same time, like, and we've gone through it over the past couple of years. Like it's not a secret to us. We share this information. We went through counseling, right? But through that, I've learned that she was going through a lot, right? And I wasn't helping, dealing with my own stuff, and I kept making excuses. Well, I get to go party on Friday because I worked 72 hours throughout the week. I get to call you names when I'm mad because I'm stressed out at work and something's making me angry, right? And it's all these things that just build up, and then finally you're just like, I'm tired of the excuses, and I wanna better my relationship with my wife, with my family, my kids, everyone.
And the fact that you were like a late bloomer, I guess I should say, when it came to being a present dad, how it didn't come around until the second child. Like, do you think your childhood had a big part in that? Like, do you ever blame your childhood or your upbringing for that?
No and yes. Would I blame my childhood? No, but like, would I use my childhood to explain why I was the way I am? Like, one of the things I'm most proud of is my work ethic. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I will outwork anyone in that room.
Yeah, you've always worked for what you have.
Yeah, and there's been projects that I've been on, there's been jobs that I've been on where I had no business doing the things I was doing, but I always produced, right? And that came from my dad and my parents' work ethics. My dad's been grinding his entire life, my mom as well, and it was just always one of those things where, like, if I do my job and I work and I bring home the bacon, I should be able to do whatever I want. But like, it's taken years of therapy and years of like talking it out with my wife and, reading things up on my own and talking to my friends and listening to everyone's, not opinions, but maybe their own experiences, and realizing that, one, I'm not the only one that's going through this, and two, those aren't built-in excuses to act that type of way.
So I know that we've grown up with different dads and different figures. Was there ever an advice that was given to you by a dad where you look back now and was like, that's a bullshit piece of advice. I will never do that with my kids.
I think I know where this is going.
One, what was the advice? And two, when did you realize that was such bullshit?
I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but in my line of work and even in our culture, mentors are a big thing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm good at my job because I had good mentors who taught me how to do things. I'm a good uncle, I'm a good dad because I have really great examples in front of me. At the same time, I have really bad examples. And one thing I carry in my professional life, in my personal life, is lessons learned. So I will sit back and look at something someone's done and say, I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
And there's times where I've been present for those moments and I tell myself, I'm never going to do that. Then I turn around and do the exact same thing. Remember when Sophia did soccer?
And she cried.
I put so much pressure on a 5-year-old to be good at a sport that she never played, that it totally ruined organized sports for her for like a good 4 years. Right?
Yeah, I was there for that first game. I was like, oh my God.
But like, I remember seeing friends, cousins, uncles, at sporting events, even my dad sometimes, but like them berating their kids and being like, oh, you should do this and you should do that. Why didn't you see that pass? And I would sit there and be like, oh, I'm never going to do that. And then at the heat of the moment, you just want your kid to be great.
Yeah.
Right. And then you end up saying things that like, I'm scarring this kid right now.
So obviously we were talking about how there's a lot of people who look up to you and really commend your way of parenting, because you, at the end of the day, even though we all joke around and you are all jokes, everything's funny, but at the end of the day, you are a really good dad. So are there people who are the ones that you look up to or draw inspiration from?
My dad for sure. Yeah, my dad for sure. Like his work ethic, again, like providing for the family and whatnot. But even seeing him as like what he does for me to this day. Like my fridge was broken. We got a new fridge. My dad will come in a heartbeat, right? My cousin John, your older brother, right? Seeing how present he is. He works so hard at his full-time job, but anytime his kid has a band concert, track and field event, he never misses that stuff. But even like my own peers, the guys that I see, you know, maybe not on a day-to-day basis, but like from time to time, whether it be, you know, in a social setting, in a work environment, things of that nature, I like, again, it goes back to lessons learned. I love cheat codes, right? If I see someone doing something great, I'm going to use that to my advantage, right? I'm going to learn from those lessons. I'm going to apply it to my own workflow, right? There's a guy I coach basketball with, Ed. I've only known Ed for a year. Our kids play basketball together, but like we follow each other on Instagram, and every weekend he's out hiking with his kids. He's playing golf with his kids. And I'm like, that's the type I want to be, or that's the type of dad I want to be. One of your former guests, Albert. You know, seeing how
Albert's also an Airdrie dad.
that's not a thing.
Shout out Albert.
You guys should start a club.
They already have a club.
Oh, you do have a club?
Dads.
No, if guys like me and Albert walk around Airdrie, we will not be walking around for very long.
I don't know, man.
But I'm talking like watching Albert with like how amped up he gets with his kid and just like making these silly videos and spending all day with him and all these things. Like that's the type of energy like we talked or you guys talked about in the beginning. Like you be surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded. For me, what I always say is finding people that match my energy.
Yeah.
Right? And
It's
that's
really important.
That's huge. I want to be around people that I can feed off of, and not people that are gonna be super negative and just leech off your positive energy. Right?
Yeah.
Do you and obviously you and Anne have different parenting styles. How do you manage the two different parenting styles between each other where you don't necessarily agree with what she's saying to the kids?
And I know she doesn't agree with a lot of things you say to the kids. So how do you even balance that out?
No, that's great. Well, that's again, it came with counseling. Like we need professional help because we tried different ways. We tried we tried, you know, tough love, good cop, bad cop, and all these other things. But what really helped us was that, you know, it's thinking about, it's always thinking about putting yourself in that situation. When you were a kid, you would say things that you didn't mean, but you committed to that. You were pot committed.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I called my dad an asshole. I got to stay in this moment, right? Or else he's going to think I'm a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
With us, we allow the other person to parent.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. We let that moment pass, right? So let's say Sophia's, you know, acting out, whatever, and she's getting punished and Anne's just going off on her, right? Let's say she's like at her wit's end. And so Anne will go off on her. And I might not agree. She might say something that I don't agree at that moment. I won't step in there to correct her, right?
Yeah.
Because at that moment, all that anger, she's gonna change her target from Sophia to me. And now it's just us fighting with each other.
Yeah.
So we allow each other to have those moments of parenting. We'll come back. Again, goes back to lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
We'll sit there and be like, oh, you did a really good job. That hardly ever happens. But usually it's like, here's the short point of when you fucked up. When you called our daughter a motherfucker, let's rewind to that.
Wait, hold on. So I don't curse at my son, but everyone knows I curse.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
hadn't
yeah,
noticed.
right. I'm a
Get
trucker mom.
out.
Get
So,
out of town.
I know that you don't curse at your kids, but you use foul language. Do you think that it is wrong to use foul language while you're talking to your kids? I mean, you're not directly saying fuck you to them. You're just like, for fuck's sakes, really? Like, do you think it's a bad thing, or they're going to hear it, right?
I think it's on a case-by-case basis. Like if you're smart, your kid's smart enough to realize what's a good word and bad word. But also at the same time, like me and you are very similar in our vernacular, how we talk, right? Yeah, we'll swear for emphasis, but sometimes it just comes out, right?
Yeah.
What I always tell people is that I swear all the time, but if you talk to my kids, you would think that they've never heard a curse word in their lives, right? We don't censor what they want, like to a certain degree, what type of music they listen to. I don't censor myself around them, but they know the difference between, you know, oh shucks and fuck shit that.
Have they ever sworn in front of you?
One time. No. Several times. Not enough for it to be a concern, but usually
But it's
like,
always in context. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, no, one time Sophia did swear. Sophia was like 6, maybe 5 years old, and she was acting out. And it's like one of her only blow ups. And Anne was trying to discipline her. I wasn't there at the time. But she wouldn't listen to Anne. And Anne was like, get in your room. She just wouldn't listen. So Anne was just like, fine, you're not going to Hawaii. And Sophia standing at the top of the stairs just goes, this is bullshit. And Anne was like, she looks at the ground. She's like, motherfucker. So she's like, go to your room. So Sophia goes in her room. She calls me. She tells me the story, all the while trying to hold in her laugh because she knows it was pretty funny. Right?
Yeah.
Well, it was in the right context.
Right.
Yeah. But also at the same time, we don't sit there going, this is a funny word. You just say it, right?
Yeah.
We explain to her, that's a bad word.
Yeah,
right?
don't use it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I do have those difficult conversations when my parent or when my kids are like, well, if it's a bad word, why do you say it, right? I'm like, and then it's one of those moments you have to explain to them, just because I do something doesn't mean it's okay for you to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I know Jade, obviously everybody knows I have a trucker mouth, but Jaden doesn't swear around me ever. I mean, I've heard him swear where he's with his cousins and stuff like that, but I mean, he has, but not directly at me when he's upset or angry. And I don't think I want to punish him with that because I just tell him, when you're going to use a curse word, use it in the right context. And don't say fuck you to someone.
Yeah.
Like say
He's not swearing at somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel, what do you feel about people sheltering? Because I know we have a family member that's like, don't swear in front of me because it makes me uncomfortable. Like, do you feel like you should shelter your kids around that, or they're going to come to it, right?
They're gonna, if they're not hearing it from you, they're hearing it from somewhere else.
I had a friend or a classmate in grade 1, and he had never learned a swear word in his life. So someone said shit, and then for 3 weeks he would just walk around going shit, right? Because he'd never heard this word, and he thought it was funny when like the teacher would pay attention to him. His parents had to come down and talk to them. Like, I don't ever want my kids to be that that weird kid that has never heard of a word. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's like Ava when we stayed at the Bam Springs, and I opened the door to the hotel and she goes, holy shit. And I was like, yeah.
Okay. Like,
Yeah, holy shit. It's a nice room.
Correct context.
yeah, right?
Right context.
You know?
Yeah, and like if I got mad at her at that point, like she would have been like, well, I hear it all the time. And at her age, she'd be so confused. So I don't know. I didn't do anything.
It's not normal, but it is normal. I feel like sometimes we shelter our kids to a world that's brutal, and I just feel like I prepare my son. Do you feel the same way when you're doing it with Sophia and Nicholas? I know that sometimes Anne will say, like, RJ, like, why would you say that to the kids? And I don't correct Anne or anything because that's never my place. But in my head, I was like, I usually don't agree with RJ, but you know what? I'm going to vouch for you. You know what? Because they're going to learn that. And at the end of the day, when those two kids step outside, there is nobody bullying my nieces and nephew because Tita Har is going to come to your school. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm kidding from your school.
I tell Anne like all the time. She thinks I'm too hard on the kids, to a certain degree.
Do you think you are hard on the kids?
No, not at all. Like compared to like my dad, my uncles.
Yeah. I think compared to previous generations.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure, right? But the thing is, what I always tell Anne is like, if our kids can handle me, they can handle anything.
That's true.
That is true.
A kid pulling their hair, a kid saying, "Oh, you're a stinky face." My kid's gonna fucking laugh at that. Like, my dad's called me worse, right? Like, Sophia will come down and she hasn't washed her face, and I'm like, you need to fucking fix this before I take you seriously, right? Like, it's those things where like my kid has the toughest skin. She's gonna be prepared for that, but also at the same time, like, I'm not constantly sitting there just beating her down.
Yeah.
Right?
So we know that you've always kept it real, which is why like we love you so much and we get along so well.
Too real sometimes.
It's too real, but you know, I know there's people out there who struggle with this internally because they care too much about what people think, and sometimes it can come out in their parenting. So what advice do you have for those people?
Work on yourself, because that's all it is, right? If you're not comfortable in your own skin, you're gonna try to shelter yourself from the ridicule and the judgment of the world, right? If you work on yourself and you're confident enough, you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? I tell my daughter, you know, if you do your job, you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? If you get your chores done, if you do your schooling, whatever, I can't tell you no because you earned all of that, right?
Yeah.
If you prepare yourself mentally to take on the world, you know, an angry boss, a pissed off customer, you know, your friend talking shit behind your back, that's not going to phase you, right? You got way more important things to deal with. You're going to prioritize the really important shit in your life, right? You're not going to be like, oh, what did blah, blah, blah think about my sweater, right? Or what did blah, blah, blah think about that thing I said? Who gives a fuck? You got bigger fish to fry.
I know that I would take snapshots and send it to RJ. And I was like, if Sophia fucking does this, I'm going to personally beat her myself. Because, okay, I don't ever say this to Sophia, but I really don't want her to grow up to be a prissy chick. She doesn't
I think you said that about Ava too.
And Ava too. Any of my nieces. Because first of all, don't take bullshit.
Yeah.
Just simply don't take bullshit. Stand your ground and speak your mind. So it's funny. And all the while, she's so cute and still she should be a girly girl because I grew up as a tomboy, but I feel like she still needs that balance. But I'm like always sending RJ, I was like, please don't, or I'm going to strangle Sophia. And you're like, he's like, don't worry, it's already on my radar, or I'm going to do that to her anyways, because you know, like, I feel like you really need to have tough skin when you get out into the real world, especially you being a girl dad, right?
For sure.
And being a girl, like, you're just preparing herself or her, because being a girl in any industry, I feel like, is really hard. And you have to have thick skin, and you have to be able to want to excel despite everything that's against you, because women in the workplace right now, it's like underpaid, underappreciated. So being a girl dad, do you think it's harder than being a boy dad?
Yeah, for sure. Because like being a boy dad, you've gone through it, right?
Yeah.
Like you know exactly what they're going through and the difficulties. With girls, it's like it's a blank canvas and you don't know what. No, sorry, you're in the dark trying to feel your way through a maze, right?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, sometimes you push this hard and she just excels. Sometimes you push this hard and she'll just crash and she'll just give up, right? It's finding that medium. For me and for us, actually, as parents, me and Anne, the biggest thing is getting Sophia to come out of her shell and tell us what's wrong. Because both me and Anne never had parents that asked us what's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I remember a conversation we had back in the summer where, you know, I'm trying to coax out of Sophia what's bothering her. And she finally tells me after like, I don't know, half an hour or whatever. But then she also says, you know, because I'm always telling her, like, I asked you a question, like, what's the answer, right? Like, how do you feel? What's bothering you, blah, blah, blah. Sophia was like, don't you remember what it was like talking to Lolo, my dad, like, right? Don't you remember how it felt like talking to Lolo and you wouldn't have answers? And my answer was, I never talked to Lolo. My dad never asked me how I felt.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me, hey, how was your day? Oh, you look kind of sad. What's going on? It was fucking get your job done.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Or they kind of just downplay your feelings if you do have any. I think that's something that we always talk about, and we always can relate to that, because being in our generation, that's a recurring topic. We always talk about that.
One quick story. I told my dad my feelings once in my entire life.
What was it?
So I got caught borrowing a car. And
Borrowing.
That's a key word, is borrowing.
I borrowed it. Like I put it back where I found it, right? So I borrowed a car.
Okay, he stole it.
Yeah. No, I returned it. I was with your brother. Anyway,
Okay, remember
Oh
this.
my
You
God,
stole it.
No, I borrowed it.
Okay, first of all, you didn't even have your driver's license
you
at
did
the
not
time.
have your driver's
So technically,
I remember
That
this.
is that's not what's in question. What's in question is whether I borrowed it or I stole it. If I stole it, I would have kept it. I returned it right back to the same spot.
All right, well, you guys can decide if you stole it or borrowed it. Okay.
So I borrowed the car,
going.
and my dad didn't find out for like 3 months because I was in so I'm from Victoria. I was in Calgary for my birthday, and I don't know how, but my dad found out, and my dad was done. He was livid. He was just like, "You're never going back to Calgary," blah blah blah. And I was like, "Fuck." So I freaked out. I was like 14, Yeah, I wasn't old enough to have a driver's license.
So he stole it.
I borrowed it.
Okay,
I
wait.
returned it.
Okay, whoever how did you even, like, who did you ask to borrow
It was
it?
Tita Lily's car.
I was just
we
gonna
had the
say, wasn't
keys.
it
The
Tita
keys-
Lily?
The keys were in the house. I returned the car. We got Slurpees. We came back. I put the keys
Hold
back
on.
in the-
Did you ask Tita Lily?
She wasn't home.
Okay, well, you stole the car.
Okay. Anyways, so my dad tells me, oh, okay, for discretion, my dad beat me, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, like, that's like my dad didn't abuse me, but like I think that's another different topic. But like my dad didn't come home from a bad day and like, I want to beat the shit out of RJ,
yeah.
right? It's like, oh, he did
'Cause you
something
did
wrong.
something
Yeah,
bad.
he's gonna spank me, right? So he spanked me, but he also said, you're never going back to Calgary. I'm like, fuck this shit. I went downstairs, I packed a bag, I went upstairs, and I'm like, you're too hard on me, and I'm leaving. I don't need this shit. And he pulls me, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna hit me again. But he like pulls me close, hugs me, and whispers in my ear and goes, you're so stupid. And he's like, just go downstairs.
You know when Jaden tried to like pack his bag and he tried, it was funny because he was upset about something and he packed his bag and he left and I was like, didn't even know what to say. So I was like, all right, cool. See ya. Like, bye. And not even like 20 minutes later, I was like, this guy will have nowhere to go. And yeah, he was back in 20 minutes with his backpack. I was like, are you okay? Like, I wasn't a jackass about it, but it was just kind of funny when we all talk about, I'm going to run away from home. And it's like, where the fuck am I going to
Where are you
go?
gonna go?
I got no money.
How many times did I call you from a 604 or 250 number asking you to send me a plane ticket?
Too many fucking times. He's like, yo, man, I just jumped out from my balcony because my dad's going to beat my ass. I was like, this balcony is high where they were living in. Was it Duncan or Victoria?
Wasn't that when you were like smoking weed or something and he found out?
Oh, he was a drug pusher.
No, shut up.
Oh, selling, not smoking?
No, stop.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, Tito Al, if you're listening, he
Shut
was
up.
smoking,
He wasn't.
not selling.
He wasn't selling.
Okay.
Legally.
No, it was, my parents went to a Filipino party and one of our uncles was there on a vacation, Uncle Ferd. So then I decided to have a house party and we hotboxed the basement as we typically do. But Alfred came in late and didn't want to be at that party. So he wanted to come home right away. So my parents showed up at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Like who goes home from a Filipino party at 8:30, 9 o'clock?
Right.
My dad opens the door and there's just like a waft of smoke that hits him and he just starts taking his belt off. and I just start hearing my friends going, Archie's dad's home, Archie's dad's home. And my friends fucking scramble. And yeah, it was not pleasant. It was not a good ending.
Can I just say too that I'm probably one of the like 5% in our generation who's never snuck out of my house because
What?
my dad had the alarm on. So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
if I had to sneak out, I had to turn off the alarm, obviously, and then he would just fucking wake up and be like, "Yeah."
It was hard to sneak out at my dad's because my dad would sleep in the like middle, like at the Marlboro house. He'd sleep in like the living room.
Oh,
'cause we
then
had
that's hard.
We had two living rooms, so there's 3 exits. There's
yeah.
one in the back, the
Balcony,
kitchen, and the front door.
Yeah, about your window.
But everybody started sneaking out of my fucking window.
We used to smoke outside your window.
Yeah, that's
Remember that?
true. Remember the time you were smoking at at Sunridge Mall?
That 12-year-olds should not be smoking.
But that's when you could smoke in the mall.
Yo,
Oh
we
fuck,
could
that's
smoke.
how old you guys are.
Wow, we're so old.
I hope I see a 12-year-old smoking in front of me. I'll beat that fucking ass.
I know. Who the hell do we think we are? So back to being a girl dad. When we were growing up, the only advice that we got was don't get knocked up and do good in school. What advice would you give Sophia that she can take going into adulthood?
Be happy. Do whatever the fuck you want. Be a waitress, cut hair. Do whatever the fuck you want. Be a CEO. Do what you guys are doing. But I'm never gonna pigeonhole my daughter and be like, you have to be this. Like if you look at me and my wife, we're the prototypical Filipinos, right? I started off as an electrical designer. My wife is a nurse, right? We're more than that now in our careers, but like it's because we always grew up thinking this is what I need to be.
Yeah.
Right? I don't ever want to put a roof or a ceiling on my kids, especially my daughter, and say, this is what you need to be. You need to be married by 25. You need to be done university, blah, blah, blah. I've never finished school. Right? You guys know that, right? But people have different paths. I'm never going to tell my daughter, this is the way it is, and this is where you're going to end up, and this is how your life's going to be, right? I want you to be independent. I want you to be prepared for the world. I want you to be prepared for whatever the world has to offer, right? And I want her to be adaptive. I don't want her to have her eyes set or her sights set on one goal, and then one wrong thing happens, and now, oh shit, I failed. Right?
Yeah.
I want her to fucking roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And I think I too, like, I gravitate towards those people who are not like a cookie cutter and have had the balls to follow what they want to do, because it's like society's always going to tell you what the fuck to do. And especially if you're fucking Filipino, because you're not a nurse or an engineer, then you fucked up. But like even the podcast, like I have a hard time telling people about it, especially my family, because they're just like, what is it, like a radio show? I'm just like, well, I guess.
I'm talking shit about you all the time because you guys totally fucked me up.
I'm not talking shit. Yeah, it's true. I was fucked up growing up, but I mean, that's something we want for our kids, is that to tell them and break that mold and be like, you don't have to be a fucking nurse. You don't have to be an engineer. It's like, this is why I'm in oil and gas. But like telling your kids, do whatever makes you happy. It was never like that growing up.
So Sophia and Nico are completely freaking opposites, like completely opposite. What advice would you give Nico? Would you give the same advice as you've given Sophia? Because, you know, as in our culture, it's like, be the man of the house and be tough, don't cry.
It's toxic masculinity.
Yeah. So what advice would you give Nico that he could take into his adulthood?
Don't change. My son is the sweetest kid you'll ever.
I love him.
He is. I love him so much.
Every time I say goodbye to my son, regardless of whether I'm going to school, whether I'm, putting him to bed, he's going to school, I'm putting him to bed, or I'm going to work, he always tells me, I love you so much. Right? And when he says it, he genuinely means it. Right? And it's that innocence.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't want people to take advantage of him, but I love watching him see the best in people.
Yeah.
Right? And too often, like when I meet new people, I'm like, oh shit, that guy looks super shady. Or,
Yeah.
You make all these rush calls, these judgments, and, it's so hard putting your mindset in that of a child where they think, oh, everyone's good, and everyone's cool, and everyone wants to see me happy, and everyone wants to see me succeed and all that stuff. That's my only advice to my son, is don't ever lose that.
Yeah.
Be street smart, be smart enough to realize what's bullshit, but like expect the best out of people. Don't always expect the worst out of people, right? Because like if we live in a world where all we did was expect the worst out of people, everyone would be just watching their back all the time.
True.
And being fake. And that's something that's just a lot of people spend so much energy on, and it's so exhausting. I'm like, why? Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
I literally just told somebody about that. I think it was last night, where I was telling someone that I had a mental breakdown last year, where I was tired. I was tired putting up a front that I know that I'm strong, but everyone's like, you're so strong, you've hold it together, you're a single mom, you're career driven, you got a house, you got this, blah, 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 blah. But it was so fucking hard to keep up. Like, I couldn't do it anymore, where I just broke into pieces because I didn't want to do it anymore.
It's so tiring. It's so tiring trying to be something everyone expects you to be.
And I was like, you know what? I've never once told anyone where I was like, it's difficult to be on my own. If I lost my job, I'd lose everything. There's no one to hold my back. There's no one anything. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, you're so strong, you're so this. And it's just kind of like, there's days where I like literally cry to myself, and then I walk out the door. I'm like, hi, Harleen Vidala over here. You know what I mean? It's exhausting.
Well, recurring topic again. I think we've said it every single episode that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to be like ingrained in people from day one, because then people will know, okay, I'm feeling this way, and I can do it. I can get through it. And especially in like in males, it's so prevalent in males these days, the whole toxic masculinity and men's mental health is always on the spotlight because it's never talked about enough.
Egos. All it is egos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, so I'm a project manager right now. I'm working on this one project where it's way beyond my level of expertise. But I've got one of my head engineers underneath me has got 10, 15 years plus on top of me.
Yeah.
And he knows these projects. So I'm telling the client, hey, your direct contact's going to be so-and-so. They're like, I thought you're the project manager. I'm like, yeah, but he's going to lead this. He's going to be the technical lead on this project. They're like, that's not how things work, man. You're the project manager. You should run this shit. Right? I'm like, don't you want the person who's most experienced, most better equipped to run this project? I'm like, my job's to run the project, right? So if I say this is the right guy for the project, that's the best guy for the job, right? I've been on so many projects where project managers try to bullshit their way through things.
That's really big of anybody in business and professional life to be like, I'm just not equipped and I'm just not your guy. That's really big.
It's customer service 101. I'm going to get you the guy that's going to get the job done in the best way. I don't need to sit there and have a pissing contest with you and tell you I can do everything, because I can't. But I got guys under me that will. So why wouldn't you want that?
Right. Okay, so I want to switch gears here.
Wait, before we do, I got 2 questions for you.
Shoot.
What has Nico and Sophia taught you as a dad?
Patience. Patience. Because, I'm quick to fly off the handle. Marriage.
You're not.
Really?
Like marriage didn't teach me that. Working in a professional environment didn't teach me that. But having kids and being patient with them and realizing that, like, we all have these bad moments where, and I always use this example, is like, when I was a kid, I would do shit and I was like, fuck, I wish I could take that back. But like I said, I've already committed to this moment, so I'm gonna be a dumbass and follow this through, right? So I always tell my kids, like, when they have these blow-ups, I'm like, you want to take that back? And then more often than not, they'll be like, yeah, I didn't really mean that. It was the heat of the moment. So,
and you didn't get that chance as a kid, I'm sure.
Never. I was like, fuck you. And then
the belt comes out.
The chanellas.
Fucking chanellas.
Yeah. The belt.
Ninja star at your face.
Okay, the second part question is, if you could pick one to save a life, one kid to save, would it be Sophia or Nico, and why?
Ooh.
Go. I feel like you already told me this, but I need you to explain it again.
I'm trying to remember what it was. No, you know what you asked me, if it was my kids or Anne.
Oh, okay.
Because I picked Anne, right? Because I can't fuck my kids. Oh, cut that out. What I mean is, like,
he's joking, guys. See what I talk about outrageous?
Hey,
this
is what we mean.
No, what I'm saying is, like, if I lose my kids, I still got my wife. I can make more kids. I can't make more kids without my wife. That's what I meant.
Okay, but if it was Sophia or Nico,
Yeah, you got to pick one.
would you save,
so
and
probably
why?
Probably Nico.
Okay,
Probably
but
Nico.
why?
One, groceries are cheaper. He doesn't eat a lot of meat.
He's vegan, guys.
2,
He's so ripped too.
He's super ripped.
He's like 2% body fat. All he does is play ball. And to be fair, we don't butt heads. Like, it's my way, and he abides by those rules. With Sophia, and I think that's the most challenging thing with being quote unquote a girl dad, is that she challenges me on everything, right? And it's great because, like, sometimes I'm not right. And,
Go pee.
right? And it's great. Like, we learn from each other. And, and even the way we deal with our own emotions, like, my progression has helped her understand how to deal with her feelings.
Yeah.
When we see it. And, like, she's so mature for, like, a 10-year-old.
I think it's also because she's seen you grow up. I think she's seen you grow up right before her eyes, and she's just like, Dad's different.
Yeah.
And she's totally just taking that into her own life. Yeah. She's so smart for her age, and she's so mature. And I always say,
ask her to do long division.
stop.
Ask Jaden to do long division
also,
right now.
don't you guys notice too when we're like all sitting around a table and we're talking about shit? She's always in the back.
Okay.
She's always in the back, like,
No,
just
that's
listening.
because she just loves to gossip.
Okay, but it's funny because
loves that
sometimes
girl.
I'll talk about my dating stories, and then Anne's like, "Girl,
please
Sophia's
don't."
right there." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, girl, don't do that because Ninang, that's bad. That's bad. Don't ever do what Ninang does." So I sometimes forget that Sophia's sitting there, but she's so grown though.
Yeah. I love the things that come out of her mouth. I'm just like, girl, you grown. It makes me sad.
Don't grow up.
And we are, both Har and I are godparents to Sophia, RJ's firstborn.
Yeah, great choices.
We are the best choices, okay?
He gets mad when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to the club with Sophia. He's like, yeah, with your fucking cane. When by the time she gets 18, I was like, hell yeah, I'm still
If
going to
she's
go.
18, I'll be like 42.
I'm still going to go to the club with Sophia. I am sorry, but I'm going to.
Let's take her to Magic Mike.
Yes.
Ew.
Okay. So I want to switch gears here. So also the reason why, like, in the beginning, we were always talking about how, like, we're always joking around, and yeah, this is the serious part of it. We respect you as a dad 100%, but you've done some really fucked up things, and I want you to share a story or two about RJ.
Okay.
I got lots.
I have a lot, but I think the most embarrassing one that I didn't know what to do. And he always tries to embarrass us wherever we go, right?
No matter what.
No matter what. And when I think that he can't surprise me with any outrageous stuff, he still does. Like, I don't understand. I don't know, what do you think about at nighttime that you're like, I'm going to fucking do this? Like, I just don't understand what goes through your mind. Okay.
Yeah, what the
So
fuck?
I was working at the Brick the one time, and he's like, hey, I'm going to come pick up that TV. I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll meet you outside. I'll get it carried out. I walk outside with colleagues, my boss, and people that know me. He's sitting in his car half naked. He doesn't even have a fucking t-shirt on. And he's like, her. And I was like, I stood still, and they're like, oh, people are like, oh, Harleen, someone's calling you. And I was like, oh, I don't hear anything.
I don't know who that is.
I genuinely didn't know what to do, because I'm like, do I acknowledge? Do I just go back inside? I was so mortified that this guy
It was
is.
a hot day.
Why would you want to take your shirt off? I don't understand.
I'm very comfortable in my skin.
Clearly.
But anyways, that was the most embarrassing story that I've ever had encountered with him. There's much more, but that's the one that I was like, I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna die. Like, he literally did that. So
Well,
That's my
mine
story.
is okay. So he took me to the club when I was 18. He's been taking me to the club since I was 14. By the way, shout out Nyla. Remember Nyla nightclub?
oh my god.
Were they? Anyways, I digress.
Your boyfriend's the reason I couldn't have a passport for 2 years.
That's your fault. You got him so fucking drunk. So we were at the club on my 18th birthday, and obviously I'm 18. I'm at the club. I'm so excited. I was single at the time. And every guy who fucking came up to me and talked to me, he was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And I was like,
Crazy
"Oh,
Horse?
this is yes, Crazy Horse."
Ooh, shout out Crazy Horse. I love that
Missed
place.
That place. It was, by the way, you guys knew it was like a crematorium before it was a club, right?
No.
Yeah.
No? Oh
Didn't
my
you
God.
wonder why it was so fucking dingy in there? It was a crematorium.
No, I was probably drunk half the time, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that place was so awesome. Despite that, anyways, so every guy that came and talked to me, he'd be like, "Oh, hey, what's up? This is my cousin. We make out sometimes." And the guy would just be like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go over there now." And I was like,
You got me back like years later.
"Did I?"
So years later, I became a manager at one company, and I hired her boyfriend, Mark, who's like one of my boys. Awesome guy. And at our first Christmas party, I bounced because I think I stopped drinking that Christmas. And then this bitch goes up to the director, so like the head of the company. He's like, "Hey, I'm Giselle. I'm RJ's cousin, and he's the father of my baby." And I'm just like, "What the fuck?" And
Oh yeah, I forgot.
right? That's fucked up, man.
And I said,
That's incest. You know that, right?
So is making out with your cousin. And so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
also
yeah, yeah.
said to him, I was like, "Yeah, RJ's my cousin, but he's also the father of my kid." And then they'd be like, "Oh, okay." And then I'd be like, "Yeah, his kids' eyes say Malinban, but their
Ugh.
kids' birth certificate says Malinban, but their eyes say Dino."
You totally deserve
I have
that,
another
though.
story too that happened fucking just recently. I ran into him in the Plus 15 downtown.
Oh my god.
And I was like, in my head, I saw
This
him
was
coming
just to pay
to
you back, though.
Oh my God. He was coming towards me, and in my head, I was like, fuck, man. I was with my boss. And so I'm like, oh, I'm just going to say hi to my cousin for a sec. He's coming this way. So I was like, oh, this is my cousin. And he's like, oh, hey, reaches for my boob. And I was like, what the fuck? Get away from me. Ugh. Anyways,
Hilarious. Wait, what did your boss say?
she was like,
She's like, what the
and I was
fuck?
like, Jesus. It's okay. I don't work for that company anymore.
Did you get dropped in on your head when you were a kid?
I do have a scar, like
Do
right
you?
here.
I just don't understand.
So you did.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't play an effect.
Okay, what do you do at night that you're gonna you just do these random shit to your family and to your kids? I really feel bad for Sophia, for any boy that's gonna
I
date her.
can't wait.
Oh my god, I feel so bad for them.
I can't wait, especially like our nephews, the twins, Ashton and Andre. They're built like two mini Samoans. So
Shout out Andre Nation.
whenever they come to the house, those two and Jaden, they'll answer the door for me. I'm ready.
Okay, first of all, I get a text message from RJ, and he's on a chat group with like the 3 boys, so my 2 nephews and my son, and he's like, oh, so one of the boys are asking for this. I'm like, no. And he's like, and then he takes a screenshot because he asks me a question where it says yes and then asks something else. So then it looks like I said yes, then he'll send it to the boys like, oh yeah, it's fine, your mom said okay. And I was like,
Jaden's nipple ring.
yeah, and I was like, I didn't fucking say
He
that.
wants a nipple ring?
No, eyebrow ring.
Eyebrow ring, tattoo, name it. This kid wants one. Like, and I was like, listen, we just got your ears pierced one at a time, okay? But okay. I know it's funny because I'll ask Jaden. I was like, what do you guys talk about? He's like, I'm not a rat or whatever. But sometimes he'll laugh and I was like, what
Good
are
for
you
you,
laughing?
Jaden.
He's like, what are you laughing at or whatever? So he'll tell me, he's like, oh, it's too good to not tell you. So I'll take a screenshot. I'm like, really, RJ? And then he's like, tell Jaden he's a fucking rat.
Snitches get stitches, Jaden.
I right now want you to tell the story about how he left a note at your house.
Oh, okay. This fucker during quarantine, okay? Jaden was no, it wasn't quarantine. It was last year.
No, it was quarantine.
No, it wasn't. Well, was it quarantine? Okay, anyways.
Well, quarantine's been going on for so long.
anyways, Jaden-
I was going to my mom's to drop off groceries.
So he was really sick, and Jaden had been in the spare room because I was sanitizing his room. Then I hear this doorbell, and I go downstairs, and there's no one at the fucking door. And I see this sign. Or there's like a piece of paper with a rock on top of it. And I was like, look around, there's nothing. And then I open the paper and it says, I'm scared, I'm pregnant, you're not answering your phone and I keep calling you. So first of all, my first instinct was, what the fuck? And I look, because it could be a prank, but I looked to see what the header was on the piece of paper. So it didn't say Airdrie. So I'm like, okay, this might not be a prank because it showed my area. So I went upstairs and I opened the door and I said, do you have something to tell me? And he's like, no. And he's like so sick too. And then I was like, what is this note? And blah, blah, blah. And of course, he's like, I don't know what it is. So then I like left and I went downstairs. I called Jaden's dad and I was like, I don't know what this is. And should I go to Jaden's phone and go through it and see if he's got any missed calls because or whatever. So then 5 seconds later, Jaden comes downstairs. He's like, it's Tita RJ. He left the thing. So then I text a message to Anna. I was like, this is what your husband does during quarantine. He drove all the way to Airdrie to fucking prank me. But then he was like, no, I was at my mom's house. And then Anne goes, girl, you didn't catch him? He doesn't run that fast.
No, that was your son. Your son was just like, this kid, after I told him, he's like, this couldn't have been you because I looked outside my window and you weren't there. I'm like, how slow do you think I am, man?
It's so funny. Okay, what's the one thing that you have on the chat group with the boys where you're like, they've asked you something and what advice have you given them? Like, you don't have to tell us, but what is it that they've asked you that you have given them advice? Because I know we joke about it, but I do feel some comfort that if Jaden and the boys can't come to me for anything, that I know that, and that I trust you, that you would give them really good sound advice.
There was one time when one of the guys got a girl pregnant, and just kidding.
Get the fuck out of here.
Shout out Meryl.
No,
I have open door policy at my house, okay?
You know what? I don't think. No, we don't have those moments in chats because we keep it light. Like honestly, most of the time we're just talking about music, basketball, things.
Robbing people for their PS5s.
Hey, call me. I need a PS5 like ASAP.
He even put that and he sent the screenshot and I said, okay, well, if you're gonna rob people, then you guys should rob Holt Renfrew. And he's like, nah, we're not doing
a PS5.
that. Rude.
Anyways, what was I gonna say? What were we talking about?
Oh, about the kids.
Oh, the advice. Like honestly, yeah, we keep it light, and that's the thing. The way I've always approached like my nieces and nephews, specifically my nephews, like these 3 guys. Like I've grown up with them. The twins are my first god kids. And regardless of what Jaden is, like that's my godson.
Yeah.
For life, right? And it's one of those things where like dealing with me, talking with me, I don't ever want to feel like they're talking to another authority figure, right? But we've had those important life moments. We've had those important talks, and my job is like it's so hard, especially for kids that are teenagers. They go through life being told what they've done wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So for me in that position, the most important thing I could tell them is the things that they're doing right so they can feel good about themselves, right? To know that they're not always constantly fucking up. So it's not just one piece of advice. It's just the, being able to be a comforting person, just an ear for them to just vent out when they need it, right? But like most of the time, it's just fucking dick jokes and fucking bad music, honestly.
Well, I want to personally thank you because I know that there's times that, obviously Jaden's not going to be able to come to me or to his dad. And I do appreciate that you've given him that outlet because, I'm a mom, I'm a parent, and obviously I'm going to say stuff that he's not going to agree with. And I'm thankful that he has an outlet, that he has someone that he could trust. So thank you.
And I have to add to that too, because I don't have boys who are my kids, but I do have a man-child at home named Mark. And whenever he says that he talks to you or goes to you for certain things, I'm never worried. Yeah, because I'm just like, good, you fucking better. But honestly,
I know we joke, but
I know we joke, but we wouldn't be where we are today if it weren't for you.
Yeah,
I can honestly say that.
Vice versa. Again, it goes back to finding people that match your energy, right? We're each other's support system. We had a grandmother that, instilled that in us to make sure that like we take care of each other, we take care of our own.
And we talked about Nana in the last episode. So her and I share Nana as like my dad is her mom's brother, but our dads are cousins. But Nana has always said, you are all my grandchildren and I never want you to treat anybody any different. Until my grandparents moved from the Philippines when I was probably 10, I thought Nana was my only grandmother.
Yeah.
But even when my grandparents moved here, the way she treated me was never different.
Yeah.
I always got a card on my birthday. Sometimes I was lucky enough to get a phone call. Anytime I was around her, it was all love. And, even when we grew up and grew older, she was just, I could give a fuck what other people thought, right? But like to hear her say, oh, you're doing good. And like, oh, you bought your first house. Oh, you're getting married. Oh, yeah. I remember one time I was just playing with Sophia at like a family party, and she put her arm around me and she's just like, "You're a good dad," and no one had told me that. And I know at that moment I was not a good dad.
Yeah.
Right. But like seeing this woman that I cherished and I looked up to so much, just tell me that, oh, you're a good dad, even like whatever.
Yeah.
Whether it was the truth or not, fuck, man, that like just. It's one of those things that like this made me feel good.
Yeah.
Right? This made me want to be better.
Shout out Nana.
Shout out Nana.
So before we go though, I just want to put this out into the universe and I want to talk about it a little bit. We have been in talks about you starting your own organization. Do you want to talk about that? Or is it kind of just in the works and you?
No. So it's in its infancy. The great thing about this year is that I got my freedom.
Yeah.
In the sense that I can do whatever the fuck I want on a personal level, on a professional level, and I'm straight, right? I've got a partner that holds me down, and anything like I've been able to take care of my kids. I've been able to be the stay-at-home dad, but still working, right? I get to pick and choose the projects I care about.
Yeah.
Sorry for work, the projects I want to do, as opposed to having to take every single project that comes my way, right? On a personal level, I wanted to grow. And I wanted to find a passion project, kind of like what you guys are doing, where I truly care about it, right? And we always talk about things where it's not about a monetary value. No. It's not about like, what is this going to get me at the end of the day? Sometimes it's just like, oh, this feels good. I'm helping people, right? So I've always wanted to do that. My kids last year started playing organized basketball, and it's great. It's been great for them. We've bonded so much in the past year. But also at the same time, I see the kids that don't have an opportunity to play organized basketball. And I want to find a way for them to experience that, right? Because I grew up in that world. My kids will grow up in that world. But like, what about the kids who just want to play but don't get an opportunity to play?
Yeah.
Right. And I reached you guys were the first two people I reached out to. I'm like, hey, would you guys want to do a project with that like really genuinely helps people? I know you did it last year with or a couple of years ago with Gotham.
Yeah.
Where you helped your son's friend start his own basketball club, right?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was bring organized basketball to underprivileged kids.
Yeah.
So I won't go into great details, but what we're planning to do, the end goal is for next summer. we're going to host a 1-day basketball camp. And, you know, we're still working on the finer details and whatnot, but like bring organized basketball to those kids at least for 1 day. And then there's some surprises along the road that hopefully will lead to them playing the sport, you know, through different organizations and helping their families and whatnot. Again, it's hush hush at this point because we're still in the planning parts, but like it's bringing two of my greatest passions, which is kids and basketball, right? I would love, and like I've seen what sports has done for myself, done for kids, and like, you know, discipline, respect for others, lifelong friendships, things of that nature. Yeah, I want all that, right? And I think every kid deserves an opportunity to experience that.
So for anyone who's listening, if that sounds like it's up your alley and you want to get involved, if you're in Calgary and the surrounding areas, just hit us up. We can connect you with RJ and he'll tell you a little bit more about it. There's one last thing that we want to do.
Yeah. So go ahead. And we're almost out of time. So there's a couple things that we want to do here. But before we go, we asked Anne a question. What is the one thing she doesn't tell you enough? And she said, how great of a job you're doing taking care of the kids, that she doesn't give you enough credit.
Timestamp that shit.
This is on YouTube.
So what I'm going to ask you today is, I would like to ask you the same question. What is the one thing you don't tell Anne enough of?
What don't I tell Anne? I tell Anne a lot of things. Thank you. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for being all the things that our family needed when I couldn't be all those things. Thank you for being my rock. Thank you for
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
She really is a fucking ride or die. You got lucky, guy. You got lucky.
We've been through hell and back, and she's always had my back. You know, I'd like to think that like I've brought just as much to this relationship as she's done, but no, man, I'd be a fucking wreck without her. So, thank you.
And we have RJ's firstborn here, Sophia. Hi, P. So
Come close
you know
to the
why
mic.
you're here.
Come close to the mic right here.
Tell your dad, what is your favorite thing about your dad?
That he's really, really funny.
What's your favorite thing that you like to do with your dad?
Everything.
You like to do everything with your dad.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Sophia. And thank you, RJ, for coming on to the show. I know that it's really hard to be super vulnerable, especially, I mean, with us, we are always vulnerable with each other, but to share this with everyone and the progress that you've made over the last couple of years. Again, from Giselle and I, and even Sophia, we've seen you grow, and we're going to continue seeing you grow into this, whatever it is that you wanted. You're a great dad. So thank you. And you're also a great role model to my own son and to my nephews and to the other kids. I know like I said earlier, we give you a lot of shit, but you know what? Thank you.
Yeah. All jokes aside, like we know you're an asshat a lot, but thank you. Thank you so much. You have brought more to my life than you will ever know.
Thanks for keeping me up late at night, guys.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that shit.
All right. Well, we are out of time now. Thank you guys so much. As usual, wash your hands, wear your mask, and love yourself, even on the hardest days. Bye. Everybody.
Bye.